Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Dear Future Wash. Today we have with us Anisa Robinson. Hi, Anisa.
Hi, how are you?
So before we start, and I'm good, how are you?
Good. Yeah.
I'm gonna first ask you to give a little blurb about yourself so the viewers and the students just know what we're kind of getting into. So in like one or two sentences, can you just summarize yourself, I guess?
Yeah, sure. So, as you know, I'm currently a biology student at Penn. I'm specifically concentrating in ecology and evolutionary bio. I've been in a lab that studies this field since my freshman year, and I have gotten a ton of experience with ecology or ecological projects so far. So, yeah.
That sounds awesome. So before I dive into the whole ecology aspect of things, I want to kind of backtrace, I guess, to backtrack, I mean, to your high school career. So, first, on the more civil policy end of things, I see that back in high school, you were a national spokesperson for Girl Talk Publishing, youth assistant for the City Department of Housing, Economic Development, and Commerce, co-founder for Hope for Youth in Foster Care, an Alley Fellow, and the CEO of Emerald Estates. And that's a lot, but can you
Yeah.
tell us more about one or two of these initiatives, what got you involved, and why, from your perspective, it is okay and even important for STEM students to participate in such activities?
Yeah, absolutely. So for me, ever since I was in high school, I had always immersed myself in STEM research. But what I felt like was missing was a social component. So getting to know my community and actually stepping out and having a social impact. And so I remember when I was joining the Girl Talk Publishing Initiative, pretty much the idea that was to place young girls like me in assemblies and kind of like go throughout New Jersey and present about the issues of bullying and also kind of give it more of like an entertaining twist in a sense. So I would actually perform monologues and act in front of the audience and just give people a sense of what it means to be a bystander, bully, and a victim, and giving people solutions to issues that they might be experiencing as young people in high school or middle school, for instance. And that was my first exposure to really just speaking out and getting like a public speaking opportunity for myself. And I was able to kind of take that and say, okay, well, I really enjoyed meeting the students and speaking with them and having like a great social impact on my community. So how can I continue that? And that was more so like middle school into high school as far as Girl Talk Publishing is concerned. So when I went into high school, I went to McNair Academic High School. I was doing a lot of STEM research again, but the next goal again was to get myself involved with my community. And so I joined Musab Ali's initiative, who was the former president of the Jersey City Board of Education. He started up the Ali Fellows, and really the idea that was to place high school students into a project where they would create their own community initiative with other students throughout high school. And for us, that was like starting up this initiative to research further into the problems of foster care, and especially throughout New Jersey, and then try to pose solutions to that. And then we ended up presenting it to some political stakeholders in Jersey City through Zoom, because this was during the pandemic. And overall, it was just a really good way for me to expose myself to community work and not just staying within like the STEM bubble. So I think it's really important for other students, especially who are women in STEM, to get an interdisciplinary approach to projects. So not just looking at STEM research, but also how is this research impacting communities and how could it impact communities? So yeah.
Okay, so now that you mentioned STEM research, I saw that you were a New Jersey Governor STEM Scholar, which is one of the most acclaimed STEM programs in the state. And I was wondering if you could tell us more about your experience there and tips for anyone applying, especially maybe how to have previous STEM experience that kind of weighs heavily on the application.
Yeah, absolutely. So the New Jersey Governor STEM Scholars Program is a program that places high school students in a university or college lab that's nearby where they live. And you get to present the research that you were doing with that STEM mentor, whether it was a grad student or a professor at that college university at the end of the program. So I joined it because a teacher of mine, my physics teacher, ended up recommending it to me. And I was like, okay, sure, why not? I've been doing science fairs, and this is my opportunity to experience the rigor of a college lab. So I was like, why not? I applied, I got in, and what they did was they matched me with a lab that was kind of similar to the work that I was doing with my science fair. So pretty much biology stuff. And for the project that I did at New Jersey City University, which was during the duration of the program, was more biomedical. So I had no experience in that. I didn't know what I was doing really. And that was pretty much the point, was to give students who had a passion for STEM research and educating themselves further the opportunity to experience that advanced application of the scientific method. So I learned a ton of different things. I did technical stuff like pipetting and gel electrophoresis, Western blotting, and all of this was to study how programmed cell death was a process in like inflammatory responses or during bacterial infections. And this could be applied to like autoimmune diseases such as Alzheimer's. And so my research mentor at the time, Ramin Shah, had been working on that, and overall, the program was just a really great experience with giving me something new to try in terms of research on a more advanced level.
That sounds like awesome, honestly, sounds great. And I hope many of the WASH students have similar experiences in their future. So now kind of moving to like the college side of things, which is where you are now. I see that you are the president of the Black Science Collective at UPenn. Why, in your opinion, is it important to empower minority groups, especially the African American community, in science? And how are some ways that high schoolers can do so too?
Yeah, that's a great question. So when I came to Penn, my interest was ecology and evolutionary bio, right? The first thing that I did was I started researching, okay, what resources are available to me as a Black student here at a PWI, predominantly white institution. And as I was doing that, I came across this statistic where there's only about 1% to 2% of people who identify as Black or African American in the field of ecology. And being at a PWI kind of like just emphasize that to me even more. Like, there's not that many people here who look like me, let alone study what I want to study. And at first it was pretty discouraging, but then what I started to do was I took a look at, what clubs were available to me to find these social networks where I could connect with other people with similar backgrounds here at Penn. And that first program or club for me was the Penn Black Science Collective. I had joined it initially as a community service chair, again, trying to be that bridge between social work and STEM research for my club. But in that time, I was able to meet with other Black students who may not necessarily have been researching ecology like me, but have been in other STEM, fields that can be kind of lacking in terms of minority population. So I think that what the collective has done so far is that we've made resources available to students, especially on campus as Black students and off campus as well. We've gone to schools in the West and Southwest Philadelphia area to teach young students about DNA extraction using Twizzlers and little cups and solutions to purify or kind of precipitate DNA. So it's all just really an experience where we're trying to increase awareness about being Black in STEM. What does that mean? And the success that can come with that. And I would suggest that for high school students who might want to do the same, just find a group of people who have similar interests as you and start up a club together. Make sure to have a diverse array of people in your club as well, to have different backgrounds too. But for the most part, you can schedule programming, try to get prominent people in your field to talk at certain events, and just provide networking opportunities and panels and things like that for other students to learn from.
That sounds awesome and like really great advice, especially for the high school level. And one thing you mentioned is that you would go to like other schools as part of the internship and like give them lessons. So kind of what I'm thinking is that based on the West Philly project, which I saw on your LinkedIn,
Right.
why do you think it's important to like tutor and mentor like younger kids? Why is it important for kids to have like mentors and have the opportunity and see someone to look up to?
Yeah, I think that it's pretty straightforward. Like, giving students mentorship, young students along the way, mentorship, especially in STEM, is very important because to be successful in this field, you need to be disciplined. You need to have a sense of knowledge and a willingness to learn. And I think that seeing someone older than you who has experienced these things and who has a passion for learning STEM is really great to show younger kids, because younger kids are like sponges. Like, you show them something and they're taking it in and they're repeating it the next day. They're doing the same thing as you. And so I think that it's really great to set that example for those younger than you. And so the West Philadelphia Tutoring Project on campus is completely voluntary. We go out into the South and Southwest Philadelphia area and we just provide free tutoring for young students anywhere from K through 12. And it's really a great experience. I've formed personal relationships with the students I've taught. I've taught a fifth grader and a sixth grader at some point. So honestly, it's really just great to connect with younger people and also learn from them and not just be, their mentors or teachers.
Hey, yeah, I completely agree, which is kind of why we do WASH, because I want to like connect with like
Yeah.
younger kids who are like maybe 3 years younger than me, but I can see that one day they're gonna be me, and I find it very fun.
Yeah.
Anyways, now on the more like pure research side of things at UPenn, I see that you were a UPenn Freshman Exposure to Research in Biological Science Fellow and Scholar. So can you tell us more about like experience and the just the idea of like the tree planting and like what you did there and what you got out of the research?
Sure, yeah. So this program was actually something that I joined from a pre-freshman program that I did before my freshman year at Penn. And the idea of it was to place students, especially freshmen, into labs as soon as they got to Penn and started the school year, because more often than not, a lot of students end up waiting until their junior year to get lab experience and to cold email professors. And it's really difficult to make your way into a lab that way. Not saying that it doesn't work, but it's easier to start when you first get in. And so this is what the program did for me. It placed me in the lab that I'm in now, working on ecology and evolutionary bio. And I was able to gain some more hands-on experience with ecology as a STEM field. So I've been studying plant symbiosis, which is pretty much how plants are interacting specifically with their microbiomes and other organisms in their environment. And I've been doing that for 3 years now. And pretty much what it did for me was I was able to then take my scientific knowledge and apply it to a social issue that's happening within the Philadelphia community. So for this scenario, there's a lot of urbanization happening in Philadelphia, and therefore there's like a lack of the tree canopy, right? Trees are getting cut down, and especially in poorer neighborhoods where it's like, okay, this is often something that happens where it's like the environmental health is not really taken into consideration when these infrastructure projects are being done. So what I ended up doing was I ended up going to a church that was nearby my school and just educating younger students about what ecology is, the importance of it, and its relevance to things like climate change nowadays, as well as just knowing how to maintain healthy environments. We taught them how to identify certain species within their community garden that they had. And we used this app called Seek, where they could like hold like their phone to like a tree and it'll take a picture of it, and then it'll like identify the species, the genus, all of that. So it was a really cool thing to see that these kids really enjoyed ecology, because not too many students really know what ecology is. And then we ended up teaching them some professional things that they can take it to, like horticulture or just improving the environment around them. So it was a really great experience. And FERBS really taught me, again, the importance of being a community-oriented biologist. So, yeah.
Yeah, that sounds really cool. And that app, I did not know apps could do that much. Like that's very cool.
Yeah, it's really insane just how much technology is so helpful now, like just with identifying species, and you can do so much more as an ecologist with that. So,
Yeah, sounds crazy interesting. So, kind of my last question, like about yourself at least. So, what initially made me find your page was that someone in my like connections liked your post about the summer 2023 Harvard Forest REU in ecology. So, can you tell me more about your experience there, both from a STEM perspective and from the idea of just putting yourself out there and outside your comfort zone? So, yeah, just tell me a bit more.
yeah, sure. So, I'm going to start off from that and say that I was never really a bug person. I hated bugs, like a little, buzzing or whatever. It was irritating to me. I couldn't stand it. And it was ironic because, well, I really like ecology, right? I really like to, study plants and bugs and animals and things like that. So it was kind of weird to always be cooped up in this urban environment and closed off from the actual nature that I was studying. And so, this past summer, I decided, okay, well, I should apply to this program, the Harvard Forest program, to get some field experience. So that would involve me sitting in the dirt all summer, laying in the mud, collecting root samples, and letting things crawl on me, right? Getting rained on. All these experiences were me, like, I guess, stepping out of my comfort zone. And it was really just a rewarding experience. Pretty much what we were studying was climate change effects on tree fungal associations and seeing how carbon is cycled through those interactions when these changes to the environment, such as soil warming or increased nitrogen fertilization, are occurring. So at the end of the program, I presented my work and again got to network with other scientists in my field, especially at Harvard, and just other students who are really brilliant and really like ecology. And yeah, like again, it was me stepping out of my comfort zone, and now I found a new passion for field research. I want to go back into the forest and do some more work. So it was really great. Yeah.
Sounds awesome. I mean, I'm personally, I would also hate it because I don't want to be in the rain, which is I
Yeah.
good, but
Yeah.
sounds cool. And so kind of the last question I say is that what advice do you have for young girls interested in biology and ecology? And also, can you shortly define ecology? Because not many people really know what it exactly is.
Yeah. So ecology is the study of the cross section between abiotic and biotic factors in an environment. So you're looking at how organisms are interacting with one another as well as with their physical surroundings. So my advice to anyone who wants to start off in this field is that, don't let the statistics discourage you, especially as a Black woman in STEM, seeing that there was less than 1 to 2% of Black people in this field, and going to a PWI was like really difficult for me to come to terms with that. But I still kept pushing forward. And I was like, you know what, this is what I want to do. I'm not going to allow that to stop me. And so, keep, your best interest in mind and don't allow what everybody else is doing or what everybody else thinks about you to stop you from achieving what you want. So that I feel like is the best advice that I can give to people who want to join this field.
Yeah, that's great advice. Also, funny story. For me personally, because when I started like planning this interview and realized that you were in ecology, like that was your thing, it's
Mm-hmm.
because basically in like my school and my grade, we have this like AP biology class I had to take. And for some reason, I did fine on every other test except the ecology test. That's the one I
Ecology.
bombed. And it was back when everyone else was like, ecology is like the best unit. It was the most fun unit. I'm like, no,
Mhm.
I don't get it. It doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
It's funny. A lot of people have said that to me too. Like some people who study biology like molecular biology more than ecology. And ecology can be, difficult in its own way. You have to know species names. You have to understand how systems work. So every aspect of biology, every subfield has its difficulties, but it's definitely an interesting topic to study.
yeah.
Yeah.
Most of my friends really like it. So,
Yeah. That's great.
anyway, so do you have any final comments to make before we conclude the interview?
Nope, that's all.
Okay, well, thank you so much for coming on. I loved everything you said. I loved learning about different experiences. Again, thank you so much for talking to us. And
Yeah,
that was,
thank you.
okay, thank you. So that's it for today's interview. And I hope you guys tune in for another episode of Dear Future Wash coming soon. Thank you.
Bye.